Swashbucklers, you're listening to Under the Crossbones, episode number 83. My name is Phil Johnson. I'm your host for the show. Thank you once again for tuning in, for telling your friends. You are the one that keeps the show alive. So thank you very much for doing that, because without you, it's just me talking to a wall, which happens the other 23 hours of the day. Episode 83. Fun fact about the number 83, and I did not know this until I ran across this. In the Jewish faith, when someone reaches the age of 83, they can have a second bar mitzvah, which is pretty awesome, right? Because by then, you're going to have run out of all the money you got at the first bar mitzvah. So that's pretty cool. We non-religion-y types, we don't get that kind of stuff. So that's cool. My guest on the show today is Johnny Ringo of Code Rum. And I went out into the pirate community on Facebook, and I said, hey, I want to talk to some rum guys. Who are your favorite rum companies? And you guys out there gave me a cool list of rum companies. And so today we're going to talk to Johnny Ringo from Code Rum. In a couple weeks from now, we're also going to hear from Mike Kelly of Old New Orleans Rum. And that's going to be a good one, too. They're very different interviews. And I know nothing about rum. Nothing. Because I'm not a drinky type. I'm not a drinky type because there are bad genes in my family. And when I would be a bad drinky type. I would be a very bad drinky type. And I know that about myself, so I do not drinky type, which made me a slightly less popular in London last week. Let's talk about that. London was fantastic. London was amazing. Prior to last week, Chicago was my favorite city that I've been to. London wins. London is now my favorite city that I've been to. Amazing. And I'm not like a big city type guy. I'm a very suburban dude. Because if I'm in a big city for too long, like if I'm in New York or if I'm in Chicago for too long, or not LA. LA is like one giant suburb. But if I'm in like a big city type place for too long, for more than a couple days, I start to I feel very cramped, you know. But London is not like that. London is a beautiful, fantastic, ancient city. And we had such a great time. The food was good. We weren't sure. We'd always heard British food, whatever. But London is so cosmopolitan and so diverse that there was all sorts of food there, and much of it was fantastic. But we did try all the British staples, most of the British staples. I don't think we had any black pudding. We missed that one. But we did Yorkshire pudding. We did sausage and mash. We did meat pies. We did fish and chips. We did all that kind of stuff because that's what we do on vacation. We eat. But here's the thing. Usually we come back from vacation weighing more because of all that eating. Not this time, though. Not this time. Because London, also a walking city. Yes, very walking city. If you're not a walkie type, don't go to London. We averaged about somewhere between 8 and 11 miles per day of walking. Yeah, that's a lot of walking. Now, that was because we were walking to restaurants. We were walking to the tube station. We were walking around museums. We were taking palace tours. We were doing just a ton of walking. There was the shopping that had to be done. My girlfriend had to shop, so there was lots of shopping. And so we did all that kind of stuff. But it was absolutely phenomenal trip. London is now currently my favorite city in the world that I've been to. It was absolutely so much fun to go see castles. Like here in America, when we find something that's from 1850, we go, ooh, that's really old. And 1850 is I think I had a meat pie from 1850 in London. That's yesterday. And there we went to Windsor Castle, which has been there since 1070. Nearly 1,000 years old. We saw things in museums like the Rosetta Stone and the Magna Carta and Gutenberg Bibles and just all this just crazy old stuff. And I'm a history guy, and I'm sure you are a bit of a history person as well. That's hence your interest in pirates. And so to see all this really old stuff is amazing. But when, when you've seen it for a week, when you're going on a week, right? And it's Friday of that week, and you're like, oh, there's a thing from 1760. That's not old. We just saw a Bible fragment from 930. And so you start to get a little bit jaded. I can't imagine how archaeologists and historians and those type of people don't get a little jaded after a while, where they're like, it's not that old. It's only 300 years. So there was a touch of that happening. But we saw some absolutely amazing things. We saw the very crazy, ostentatious castles, Windsor Castle, Kensington Palace we went to. We made it to the main one, I can't think of the name right now, where the Queen lives, Buckingham Palace. We made it there. We didn't get to go inside there because the Queen was home and she didn't invite us in for dinner. Granted, I mean, I didn't tell her I was coming. I didn't want her to feel obligated. But so we saw the outside of Buckingham Palace, and it was nice. And the museums were amazing, and everything was cool. Everything was cool. The shopping was a drag. Everything was cool. And we bought souvenirs, and I bought myself a t-shirt because that's what I buy for a souvenir. Been there, done that, got the shirt. That's how I work. And it was fantastic. But you know what I missed? And I hope you enjoyed the 2 episodes that came out while I was over there. I did not pay attention to American politics at all while I was there, which was wonderful. And I didn't pay attention to English politics either. So there was no politics for 10 days. It was fantastic. But I came back and the world didn't explode and they let me back into the country and everything. So that was nice. But I did miss the Pirates of the Caribbean 50th anniversary, which was just this past Saturday on March the 18th. March the 18th, 1967, Pirates of the Caribbean opened at Disneyland. And I guess at Disneyland, they did some stuff. They had some special food, some special souvenirs, but it didn't seem like a big super-duper-doo thing. The movie comes out, episode 5, later this May. I think it's coming out May sometime. And but Pirates of the Caribbean, obviously a very sort of a touchstone piece of thing in my life, because I used to go on it when I was a kid. Still do. Probably going to go on it in May when I go. We used to go on it when I was a kid. And I would look for decorating ideas in there. That was what we did. We'd be like, hey, we need a big pile of gold coins. That would be really nice. But just skulls and flames. And we'd look for ideas about how to run our Halloween setup and all that kind of stuff. And for a lot of us, me and a lot of you listening, that's where the whole pirate thing began. And so Pirates of the Caribbean, that's the genesis. That's the thing that got us into this. And so it's 50 years old. Thankfully, it's still older than I am and always will be, which is nice. It's because it's weird. If it were to get older than me, that would be strange. Or if I got older than it, my math is off. I don't know what I'm talking about now. All right. Anyway, so we're doing this thing this month to expand the podcast universe, because you're listening to a podcast. And I know a lot of you listening, this is the first podcast that you've had any experience with. And I thank you for doing that. And there are a lot of people out there that still don't know what podcasts are. So we're doing this thing in the podcasting community called Tripod. Hashtag Tripod. That's try, pod. Get it? Tripod, like a tripod. Anyway. And so here's what it is. Everything else costs money, right? HBO, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, they all cost money. Podcasting is free, which makes it cool. So we're trying to get the word out to more people about podcasting. So if you have a friend who doesn't know what a podcast is, tell them about it. Or a stranger, you're standing in line at Starbucks and the guy in front of him is playing Candy Crush, and go, dude, Candy Crush is lame. That's so last year. Try podcast. This would be a good one. And go to underthecrossbones.com, their little podcasty app, and show them how it works. Or just share the podcast that you enjoy listening to. This one, or maybe See Here's the Thing, or History of Pirates, or Pirate History, or Scoundrels Inn, or Dork Forest, or Nostalgia, or What's Up Doc, or Jackie and Laurie Show, or any of those cool podcasts that are out there. Share them with your friends. And here's how you do it. If you're out on your Twitter, or your Facebook, or your whatever, your Pinterest, share the shows that you like to listen to and use the hashtag Tripod, TRYPOD. And if you can also include in there hashtag UTCPod. That's the Under the Crossbones hashtag. Yay! Took a little while to find one that was usable. So when you're out sharing podcasts with your friends, use the hashtag Tripod and the hashtag UTCPod for Under the Crossbones. All right, that's cool. Then you help us grow podcasting more, and we can, and it's all free, and you get it for free, and that's how awesome it is. Got some shows coming up. Oh, speaking, I did do a show in London while I was there. I did one show because that's all I had time to do, and I was offered more shows, but I was trying not to cut into vacation time too much, and so I did one show, and it was good. We had a nice audience there. Little upstairs room in a pub, in an English pub in Camden. That is a 250-year-old pub or whatever it is. We were in the little upstairs room. We had a nice little audience. It was cool. The comics were nice. It was fun. I was rusty because I hadn't been on stage for like 2 weeks at that point. So it was a little weird, and I had to edit myself on the fly. Like I kind of slipped into a Taco Bell joke, which they don't have Taco Bell there. So it didn't. That one didn't work. But most of the other stuff I did okay with, but it was rusty. This week, I'm back on the game for real. Tuesday, the 21st, that's today if you're listening to this on release day, I'll be at O'Malley's in Mountain View, California. And that's going to be a short warm-up set for the rest of the week. Headlining the rest of the week, Wednesday the 22nd, I will be at the 6th Street Playhouse in Santa Rosa, California. And that show is going to be hosted and produced by Nick Hoffman, who you heard back on episode 40 of Under the Crossbones. So he and I are doing a show together there's like magic and there's music and there's comedy, and it's all going to be a really great show. So that's Wednesday the 22nd at the 6th Street Playhouse in Santa Rosa, California. Thursday, the 23rd, I'll be at the Office in Ukiah, California. Friday, the 24th, Spice Monkey, Oakland, California. Sunday, the 26th, I will be at the Crow's Nest in Santa Cruz, California. And if you're thinking, what's with all these California dates? Well, I got to stay in a particular state for a week, and it's close to home. But coming up, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Indiana, lots of stuff. Go to underthecrossbones.com, click the tour dates button, and that'll show you all the places that I've got coming up in your neighborhood. If you're enjoying the show, come join us over on Facebook, facebook.com/underthecrossbones, twitter.com/undercrossbones, no the in that one. And do make sure that you are subscribed to the show, whether that's through iTunes or Google Play or Podcast Addict or whatever podcasty appy thing you like to use. Subscribe to Under the Crossbones. Then you get all the new shows. You don't even have to think about it. I have a backlog of stuff because I didn't listen to any pods while I was on vacation. Now I got a huge backlog of stuff that I will listen to while I'm driving all over California this week. Let's see. And, of course, you can find all the show notes for this episode at underthecrossbones.com/083. And let's see. The support page, make sure you hit the support page if you want to donate a little dough to the show. That was rhymey. Oh, donate a little dough to the show. You can go to the support page, underthecrossbones.com/support. Pop whatever you want into that little PayPal box there, and that's real easy. Whatever, anything you want to give is cool. Click the Amazon banner, buy yourself something nice. Amazon kicks me back a few ducats, and that is helpful too. While I was traveling, I was like, ooh, I have things that I need to buy on Amazon. I have to buy like a USB charging hub and a travel weight. I had to pay extra because one of my carry-ons was too heavy coming back. And Norwegian does not mess around, dude. Norwegian Airlines, if you are over, man, you are paying to check the extra bag. Cost me $40. What a drag. 40 pounds, actually, which is like $50. That's even, I don't even want to think about that. And if you want to be a sponsor of the show, that's cheap and easy. Just go to underthecrossbones.com/support, and you will be able to contact me from there to be a sponsor if you've got a piratey product or service that you think the audience would enjoy. All right, let's get into my interview now with Johnny Ringo from Code Rum. Check it out. So you are one of the co-owners of Code Rum, which I want to specify first is at thecoderum.com, right? That's the correct website. Because if you go to coderum.com, that is a Finnish technology company of some sort.
Yes, and they've been around a long time because they've got, and it's a weird thing because they've got the .net, .com, .org, and their company I think is actually Coder UM. Is just coincidentally it's spelled the same way as Code Rum, but it's not Code Rum for them. It's Coder UM.
Oh, right. And, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, luck of the draw or luck of the finish, I guess you could say.
I guess so. So where are you guys located in the country?
We a Florida handcrafted rum. We're headquartered in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, which is right near West Palm Beach, home of Donald Trump, basically. And our distillery is in a little small town called Riviera Beach, Florida, which is like a suburb of West Palm Beach.
Fantastic. Okay, so I know absolutely zero about rum. I'm not a drinker myself, but I know that lots of people...
This interview's over.
Yeah, right. The problem is, the reason I'm not a drinker is there are bad genes in my family, and if I were a drinker, I would be way bad at drinking. So
gotcha.
That's why I don't. But I know there are lots of rum drinkers listening to the show. So tell me a little bit about the process of making rum. I have no idea how rum is made.
The process of making rum is really not complicated at all. Basically, we start with, we use all natural ingredients. We use Florida sugar cane, molasses, which you basically, water, you dissolve the sugar, slowly add the molasses, add yeast, which starts the fermentation process, which takes, 10 to 12 days to actually ferment. And once that happens, you've got your base rum, which is basically your plain white rum. It's usually overproofed, and And then we work on to get it down to the proof that we want it. We've got technically 6 blends on the market. So the process is not a long, drawn-out process. Like I said, it's relatively simple to make rum, but it's not that easy to make really good quality rum. And which is one of the reasons I went into the business was, I liked rum, and there wasn't really a rum that I thought was like, man, this is my go-to rum. Different rums tasted good with different cocktails, and so we wanted to create a product that just ran the gauntlet. That whatever cocktail we feel somebody made with their favorite rum, if they made it with ours, we wanted to make a superior cocktail. And a lot of your favorite rums, as far as their proof, are 24, 42 proof rums, because apparently some rum brands have, I don't know if it's an issue for them to get a higher proof rum and keep the smoothness of it. Mm-hmm. And, this was 4 years in the works. And we actually made, all of our flavored rums are 70 proof, which is part of the what we feel makes superior cocktails, because when you add the mixer, you don't really kill the taste of the rum. You're not tasting all mixed. You're tasting a quality rum that stands out. So they're all 70 proof rums. Our silver rum is an 80 proof. And we have
for the people in the audience who don't drink, and because I'm an idiot too, explain how the proof works. What is that description?
Proof is basically the amount of alcohol in the product. So the higher the proof, the stronger the product, whether it's rum, vodka, tequila. And that's how you basically measure the proof. And that's also how the government gets their more taxes. The higher proof, the higher your taxes are on the rum.
Oh, interesting.
Producing it. Correct.
That part I didn't know.
Yes, I learned that too. Yeah. I'm like, I should just make a 10 proof rum and make a lot more money. But it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, so then is that the main differentiating factor between, say, a bad rum and a good rum? I can't imagine. Is there like a really terrible rum out there?
There's a couple that I won't mention, because no one out there makes the best rum. Everybody's got different taste buds. I coined one of the phrases is "you taste, you decide." So when somebody says, "How does your spice rum compare to Captain Morgan or this?" and I'm like, well, I can give my personal opinion, but I just say, it's a matter of preference. You taste, you decide, because everybody's got certain things they like about it. And the taste of the rum is really not the proof. It's just the way the rum is made and the flavor profiles, and what we call in the distillation process, we run it through our pot stills 3 or 4 different times to cut up what they call the heads and the tails, keeping the heart of the rums. Okay. So to get a quality rum, there's a lot more waste, because as you just run it through your distillation process again, you're cutting out more of the harshness. Okay. So and every time you run it through, you're cutting out the harshness. You're losing product, which in turn, anytime there's product waste, there's financially you're not making as much. But in the long run, if it's a quality product, you're going to sell more of it, and you're going to create a greater fan base. So it all comes out in the wash, so to speak.
Certainly. Now, so you said the main ingredients are sugar, molasses, and yeast, right? Is there anything else that goes into it besides that?
Other than, creating our flavor profiles, like our spiced rum, which is very unique. There's a lot of, even being a non-drinker, you probably know there's tons of spiced rums on the market. Sure. As there are tons of rum on the market as well. And we actually had our spiced rum, we're, like literally 2 days away from bottling it. And my daughter had just gotten out of hospital with kidney stones, and I brought her home, and even though she's adult and she still likes to hang out here, and I was making a dinner, and I made myself a spiced rum and Coke, and I'm taking a sip, and I'm like, man, is this my go-to rum and Coke? Any bar, taking aside the aspect that it's my rum, right? Is this the rum and Coke that I would order any given night at any given venue? Right. And I took a sip, and it was good, and and I took another sip, and I'm like, the answer was no. And as much as I hated that, I'm like, man, it was good, but I didn't feel like it was as good as it could be. And I text my partner, and I said, we need to revisit this. And we literally were 2 days away from bottling. We had a big batch of rum made and ready to go. And my next text was to my distiller. And I said, we need to revisit our spice rum. He's like, well, let's, meet at the distillery tomorrow. And when you create these flavor profiles, it's a huge process from your label approval to you actually have to get a formula approval from the federal government, as well as a permit to produce spirits. And, and it takes, permitting can take 3 to 4 months to get a formula approval. And we
Okay.
had our formula approval, and you're within the federal guidelines. You can tweak it a little bit with percentages because they need to know everything that's in it, how much is in it, and you can tweak it within the guidelines without filing for new formula approval.
Uh-huh.
And we messed with it for probably a week or two, and you know, backing a little bit of you know, anise out and adding a little bit, you know, of this, and adding a little bit more butterscotch, a little less vanilla, and for our spiced rum, and we had a decent spiced rum, and it's crazy you don't think about the process of making rum. We had a great spiced rum, had a great nose on it, and we sipped it neat, which means, you know, just straight up, and it was great. But then we mixed Coke with it, and the Coke would go flat.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. And then we, you know, we tweaked this there a little bit, and then the Coke would be good. Then it didn't go that great with ginger ale. And then we tweak it a little bit more, and we mix with Coke, and it was good. But then we literally let it sit there and let the cocktail get watered down, you know, for like a half an hour. Because as you're drinking a cocktail, you want your last sip to be as good as your first sip.
Sure.
And, you know, because if they take that last couple sips and it's like, that's not very good, they're less apt to order another one. And so we messed with it, and we just couldn't tweak it to where I was happy with it. And, you know, my distiller and my partner, Don, they were like, well, you know, we can release this, and, you know, then we can work on it for the next batch. I'm like, you know, what are we going to, you know, the next one's going to be new and improved Code Spiced Rum. and I literally said, if it takes a year, it's got to be right. When I pitch this product to potential accounts and people, I've got to be, you know, wholeheartedly knowing this is the best product we can make. I will put this up against any spiced rum in the market, head to head, do a blind taste test. Extremely confident that it will stand up to any product out there. And they agreed, so we went back to the drawing board, started from scratch, and we had what we thought was a great spiced rum. And my partner, who lives in Jacksonville now, he usually stays at my house when he comes in town. The distillery is literally 10 minutes from my house, so it works out great.
Nice. Yeah.
And we thought we had it, and we're standing in my kitchen. I love to cook, so we're in there and we're tasting it, we're passing it back and forth. I'm like, I think we got it, and we were just about ready to say let's start bottling tomorrow. I said, there's still one thing, and I literally opened up my kitchen cabinet and looked at my spice rack, and I pulled out a little thing of nutmeg, and I just put a little pinch of nutmeg in there, shook it up, and took a sip. And I go, taste this. And my partner tasted it, and his eyes lit up. And that was the last ingredient we had. It was nutmeg, and our spice rum has become it's been a huge surprise. It's a lot of people's new favorite rum. I've had people say it's the best rum I've ever had, which is a huge statement.
Sure, yeah. I have to admit, I was hoping for garlic.
You could be onto something. A little Italian rum. Everything's good with garlic.
That's the way I cook. Cereal, garlic. Yeah, let's go.
Exactly. When I had a garlic rum to that cereal, I think we got a home run.
So let's go back a little bit. What were you doing before you started a rum company? Where do you come from?
I'm native Floridian, born and raised in Daytona Beach, Florida. I was in the, it's funny how life takes you down a certain path that you don't necessarily plan on.
I know it well.
And I was in the marble and granite business for nearly 30 years. I started my company in 1991, and I sold it in 2008 before the economy went down. And for like a year, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I got involved in doing some charity stuff, and I got back in the days of MySpace. I had this guy contact me and said he's looking to do something locally in Jupiter, Florida, if I was interested. And so we met at a Chili's in Jupiter, Florida, and he said he was doing a radio show. And I said, well, that's interesting. And he said I was going to do a casting call, and I started doing these pirate-themed events because everybody said I looked like Captain Morgan. And so I started doing these pirate parties, which eventually now has turned into full-blown 3-4 day pirate festivals through my events company. And he wanted to do a radio show called Pirate Soup Radio, which basically was about anything pertaining to the ocean, whether it's diving, fishing, whatever. And he said he's going to do a casting call, and he started saying all my pirate stuff, and he told his girlfriend, he goes, I don't need to do a casting call, I just need to call this Johnny Ringo guy. And him and I hit it off, and as it turned out, he was a treasure captain for a historic shipwreck salvage company called Seafarer Exploration Corp., a publicly traded company. Okay. And as we started this show, which at the time was on AM radio, Clear Channel, and he says, you don't really have a job. Why don't you start diving with us? So for the next 3 years, 5 days a week, weather permitting, I was a bona fide treasure hunter.
Had you been a diver before?
Oh, yeah. I've been pretty much diving all my life.
Okay.
But I was always diving for pleasure, never diving for treasure.
Sure.
And I found a way at the end to kind of combine the two. Like the last dive of the day, we take our spear guns down, and I was bringing home fish and hog snapper and lobster every day.
Well, everybody's got a grocery shop after work.
Exactly. So for 3 years, we worked direct off the coast of Juno Beach, Florida, and we found the anchor, cannonballs, musket balls, pottery shards. We never found any gold or silver, but we determined after working the wreck site relentlessly that the booty, so to speak, is in about 20 feet of water underneath about 40 feet of sand.
Oh wow!
And the state won't let us displace sand. We can blow holes through our treasure boat, but we can't displace the sand. And even though we offered to replenish the beaches for them, they didn't go for it. So I was a treasure hunter for 3 years. And like I said, I started doing a lot of charity work. I produced an all-ladies charity fishing tournament that benefits the Lighthouse for the Blind. We just had our 6th annual. And through that, now, of course, Facebook had come along. In 2010, this guy, Don Brown, had reached out through Facebook. I had started a social group called Pirate Heads. And our premise was, we did not just pirate-themed events, but Hawaiian luau's and pimping whole parties and, weekend getaways and stuff. And we do monthly meetups at a different bar locally.
Nice.
And he said he had a rum company called Pirate's Choice Rum. And he sent me a message saying, I think Pirate Heads and Pirate's Choice Rum is a marriage made in heaven.
Sure.
And a couple weeks later, he came into town and we met. And I found out his daughter, Nikki, was stationed, and she was in the Marines in this remote region in Afghanistan. And she was like their platoon Santa that year. And I'm like, maybe my next month's meetup with my group, I'll make it, a party with a purpose and get people to bring in non-perishables. And so we planned that event. He came back into town and basically, a bar I worked with, Kirby Sports Bar and Grill, we did an event where everybody got a free raffle ticket for bringing in canned goods. And I figure, people bringing a can of chicken or a can of tuna fish. And literally my friends brought in cases of toothbrushes and cases of canned goods. And, people came in straight from Publix with, 4 or 5 Publix bags. It was really overwhelming. And we barely fit everything in a couple SUVs that we got a company. And he was living in Key Largo at the time. And we got a company ship all this stuff to her platoon and stuff. And our friendship was kind of forged. And as we progressed, I was like, what's it take to get a rum company going again? Because Pirate's Choice, he'd sold majority ownership about 2010, about the time we met. And the new owner, died, and the company basically shut down. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm like, what's it take to get a rum company going again? And he's like, well, it takes time and money. And I had plenty of time. And, being a pirate, I was figuring out how to get the money.
Right.
And so everything I had. And even some other people's stuff. No, just kidding. And we started planning it about 4, going on 5 years ago. And, putting the pieces of the puzzle together, thinking about what products we want. Originally, we were just going to do a key lime rum because he originally had a key lime rum. So we're going to do a key lime rum and a spiced rum. As things progressed, we start thinking about a mango. And I had a meeting with the guru in the spirits industry, and he was like, you maybe should come up with the third rum as opposed to just your spice and your key lime. And I said, well, I had an idea for a cinnamon rum. He's like, that's interesting because to this day, there are no other cinnamon rums on the market. All the cinnamon products are whiskeys and bourbons.
Interesting.
And so, we have the only cinnamon rum on the market. They're all GMO and gluten-free. And, the Fireball is what gave me that idea because Fireball whiskey was huge at the time. And I'm like, well, I need to make a cinnamon rum. And our cinnamon rum is actually a higher proof than Fireball. I think Fireball is 66 proof. We're 70. And it's extremely smooth. It's like I tell people all the time, if I sampled 100 people on my rums, any blend of them, and so you got one word you can use to describe them, probably 93 out of 100 will say the word smooth.
Oh, okay.
And so we start working on our flavor profiles, file a federal permit, which takes up to 4 to 5 months to get approval. And it's really it took probably 3 weeks to fill out the application because they want to know everything about you and your ancestry and where the money came from. And
so it's really background checky.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't have a felony because it goes back to the days of money laundering and the mob and stuff where, and so they haven't changed the application, I don't think, since then. So, bank statements for the last 5 years. And,
wow.
They really, want to make sure you're legit. And I think we got approval in like 2.5 months, which was awesome. And that, it really started the process that we started setting up, a distillery to work with. And we actually have 2 distilleries, one in Riviera Beach, like I mentioned, and the other one's in Amelia Island up near Fernandina Beach, where we just released Christmas of last year, our Commodore's Cut, which is our high-end barrel-aged sipping rum, meaning you don't want to mix it with rum and cokes or rum and ginger ale. You just want to basically sit there and just sip on it. It's a 90 proof rum, so it's extremely strong, extremely smooth. And whereas my regular rums, they all sell for, average $20 a bottle. This is $75 a bottle. 75. Some liquor stores has it for $99.99. But and it's a barrel-aged, and it tastes, it's comparable to, we've done taste tests with people in the rum biz, and there's a couple, 15 to 21-year-old rums, and it's every bit as good from, coming from other people, every bit as good as a 20-year-old rum that's been literally sitting in a barrel for 20 years.
And how long are you aging it for?
It's less than a year, technically.
Wow.
We worked on it for about 3 years, maybe 2.5 years, using different techniques. We went to smaller 15-gallon barrels. And, I had people in the business say, you're not going to get the coloration without artificially coloring it, which definitely was not going to do that. They said it has to sit in the barrel for at least 2 years. And we just used some unmentionable techniques and procedures to create that flavor, that almost like a bourbon-like flavor. And, our storyline is our distillery up there is right by the railroad tracks. So every time we increase the aging, because every time a train goes by, it literally shakes these barrels. So as the rum shakes in the barrel, we'll get more of the flavor from the barrel surface, which basically increases your aging time. But nobody knows that, so I hope no one's listening. They're going to listen to this interview. And it's really an incredible product. And we only made 153 bottles. The first, it's a signature series, limited edition. Each bottle, the first series was our loyalty series, and each bottle's numbered. And 153 bottles, we sold 83 of them the first 2 weeks out of my distillery, which you're allowed to, our distillery, we can sell 4 bottles a year per person.
Okay.
And we have to take your last 4 digits of your driver's license number and your name and all that stuff, so they track it. And we pre-sold, I think, like 83 bottles in 2 weeks, and for $75 a bottle, and nobody even tasted it. So that's part of what the fan base we've created, and everybody loves it.
So when you have created this company, and do you have to build your own distillery, or do you go to a distillery and say, here's our recipe, here's what we need done?
Well, basically that's what we did. We actually went to a couple of distilleries. One was in Charleston, South Carolina. They went through some ownership stuff, so we were back to scratch, and then we met with this other guy, interviews and talked about what we wanted to do, and we were on board with him in Palm Coast, Florida, and he had some issues, and finally in my own backyard, I met a distiller, him and his wife, and they instantly became like family. And so basically they do other products as well, but it's not like a private labeling. We actually create our flavor profiles. We're hands-on. Every time when we're ready to do a big batch of rum, we're at the distillery for the whole, duration of the process.
Oh, okay.
For the bottling, the labeling, the corking, the whole 9 yards, 100% hands-on. We've just got our formula. They start fermenting our base rum. We start with that, and we keep a surplus of our white base rum, and which we're about due in the next couple of weeks to do another big batch run. So yeah, we're definitely hands-on, and so we didn't have to go through the whole, setting up, buying or renting a building. So it worked out well, and it's a great relationship with our distiller, and we've done some other projects with them and stuff. Because we can basically make a rum, vodka, whiskey we can make it for anyone. I've got somebody that wanted me to make a moonshine, a good friend of mine, and I kind of talked him out of it because I felt like moonshine was kind of on the decline. And I'm like, you can put all the money and time and effort into it, but I think maybe you should focus on something else. Maybe do a vodka or whiskey, but it's your money. And I kind of talked him out. I'm like, what am I doing? I could have, why did I talk him out of that? But
there's got to be a hipster moonshine revival coming somewhere here.
It's got to happen. Got to happen. And when it does, we'll jump on that moonshine wagon.
There you go. So that's it seems like a very since you were saying that it's people will have different preferences in what they want their rum to taste like. It seems like a very sort of egalitarian type of liquor, and I don't know if other liquors are like that. They probably are. Does it offend you in any way when somebody else has a different preference in the way they want their rum to taste? Where they go, Captain Morgan is the best one, whatever. Or do you just kind of go, well, that's their opinion and that's fine?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. I mean, our positive response has been, really overwhelming. And when I'll do a sampling or something, I'll tell whoever's working with me or who's a friend that might be hanging out, like watch everybody, you're going to hear the word smooth repeatedly all night. And so the rest of the night is like, smooth, there's that word. See, I know I told you, you can stop saying smooth every time someone else does now. But no, it doesn't offend me. And, because like I said, you can't please everybody. Everybody's got different taste buds, and some people are set in their ways. But we've converted a lot of people from a lot of existing brands, and which our goal is just to get it out to people, and hopefully they enjoy it, and hopefully they buy it. We enjoy it. We think we created a really, really amazing product, which is part of the reason why, 11 months on the market, 10 months on the market, ABC put us in all their Palm Beach County liquor stores.
Oh, wow.
And almost 4 days shy of a year on the market, Total Wine brought us into all their Florida liquor stores.
Nice.
Which I have people in the biz saying you really got to buy your way into ABC, where you give them a pallet, they'll test market it. If it moves, then they'll buy the next pallet. And I was fine with mom and pop liquor stores, and so then we'll just bide our time, and eventually, we'll get in there, and it actually happened sooner than we thought, and that's due to our fan base. They, it's almost like a cult. They're amazing fans, and when I hear somebody say to me, "It's the best rum I've ever had," it's just an overwhelming statement to hear. And this is not coming from my Uncle Joe. It's just from a total stranger. It really humbles me. It means a lot. And, we get pictures posted online of, these guys in Williston, Florida, made their own Code Rum decals on their tricked out Jeep and Suburban. And the guy got a Keep to the Code, which is our trademark tagline, which I actually got that past Disney, amazingly. And he's got a tattoo on his calf, Keep to the Code with a rum bottle. He doesn't even live in Florida.
Nice.
And people bake with the rums and you make lamps out of them, and they take empty bottles and spell Code Rum out. And if you go to our Facebook page, and they spell Code Rum out in their front lawn with about 40 empty rum bottles, and so it's really humbling, and it brings a smile to your face that that people, because I did have that fleeting thought 4 years ago, what if I make this rum and nobody likes it,
right? Right.
Or they're just set on their own rums and they're just going to go with what they know. But it's getting there. We just reached 1.5 years on the market, and we've still got a long ways to go. But it's off to a great start, and so it doesn't hurt my feelings. Somebody says, "Oh, I still like this rum better," or because like I said in the beginning, everybody's got different taste buds, and
sure.
Some people don't like liverwurst.
Right. Me included. So when you're marketing something like this, I mean, it sounds like you've got this sort of the groundswell of word of mouth, which is super important for any brand of anything. I know that well. And what did you do when you first started to go out and market it? Were you going to pirate festivals, or were you marketing more towards the liquor stores? How'd you approach that?
That's a good question. It's funny because people in the biz also said that we're kind of doing the opposite. For years, startup brands have infiltrated, restaurants and bars. And then, people taste it there, and then they start asking for it in liquor stores. I basically did about 50. We may be in more liquor stores than we are restaurants and bars.
Interesting.
And partially because I didn't know any better. And secondly, because I figured I'd rather sell it by the bottle than sell it by the drink. A liquor store goes to a lot more product. They make one sell, and it's basically 25 drinks in a bottle. Whereas a restaurant, they've got to sell 25 cocktails before they open up a second bottle. And basically, I just started out traveling all around the state of Florida. I had a huge advantage because, like I said, I have an events company, so I produce pirate festivals. There's a resort like Captain Hiram's in Sebastian, Florida, that they hired me to produce, host, and create events for them, from Boots, Bourbon, and Barbecue, a country event, to hosting a Parrot Head party, to producing a pirate festival for them. And so I had these relationships up and down the coast with different, bars and stuff and resorts that I'd done events with, and they knew me. So basically we had probably 30 accounts without them even tasting a rum, just like, "Ringo, when's your rum coming out?" And of course we'll carry it. So that wasn't huge. And we had, down throughout the Florida Keys, based on my partner's original company, Pirate's Choice Rum, we had some old accounts of his that, like the Pilot House Marina, that, brought in. So we got a little bit of a jump start. And the fact that, remember I mentioned that, the first couple of distilleries we tried to work with where it didn't work out, we had like a year delay in what we targeted as our original launch date.
Oh, okay.
And so then we had sort of like this pent up demand for the rum. Everybody like, "Where's this rum you speak of?" We finally had to stop posting stuff on social media because we didn't know when we were going to launch it. And And so we had, kind of a pent up demand for it. And basically it was just out, beating the streets. We were lucky to get a distributor right out of the gate, because a lot of times you have to distribute yourself.
Sure.
Meaning, you get a distribution license, and now we have to produce it, market it, promote it, and deliver it. And I'm like, that's a big task. But some people, they do it for a year or two until they get some distribution. Then they can go pitch to a distributor saying, look, we're in, 50 accounts. We'd like for you to distribute for us. And, they get their distribution fee and stuff. And we met with our distributor, which is Opeachy Family Distributing. And they've been around 50 years in the wine business. And Mr. Opeachy is about 100 years old. He still goes out to accounts. And they took a chance on us, and they brought us in right out of the gate, which really helped out, as far as the distribution. And
sure.
But I think we've technically gotten them new more accounts than they've gotten us. Because, being a startup brand, their reps, they got other brands they're repping. And until you prove yourself, they can't go to their bread and butter and say, hey, we got this new rum, you got to bring it in. Well, how is it? Well, we don't really know yet. We just took it on. So you have to kind of prove yourself. And now that relationship's growing where they're doing, more and competing against, with the word of mouth and creating this fan base. We don't have that $1 million budget like a lot of the big brands do. So we have to get creative, and what I coined the phrase, we think outside the bottle, and creating these signature cocktails. Like one cocktail I created 4 months before we launched is called the Bloody Pirate.
Okay.
And which is basically a Bloody Mary made with our key lime rum instead of vodka.
Oh, interesting.
I came up with that cocktail. A friend of mine was out of town. I used to have a house in Big Pine Key. A friend of mine was out of town. I was feeding his cat, and it was a Sunday, and I reached in this fridge to grab a bottle of water, and I saw a bottle of Zing Zang Bloody Mary mix. And I started thinking about, man, I could go for a Bloody Mary today. And I started thinking about the Keys and a friend of mine that used to come down, and he made the best Bloody Marys ever, and his trick was using lots of fresh squeezed lime juice. Since I'm driving home, I'm like, man, I wonder what it would taste like with my key lime rum, since he puts a lot of lime. And came home and made one. My girlfriend comes out of the room, and I said, here, honey, try this. And she's been hearing that a lot 2 years prior to launch, and she still hears it a lot. And she doesn't even drink. She doesn't drink either. And but when she drank, she was a vodka drinker. And I go, taste this. And she's like, that's good. What is it? I go, well, what do you think? She goes, well, it's not Grey Goose. It's not Belvedere. And she's naming these vodkas. And I said, no, it's made with our key lime rum. And she took another sip. She goes, that may be the best Bloody Mary I've ever had.
Nice.
And she came up with the name Bloody Pirate. And I'm like, it's a perfect fit. It's Bloody Mary made with rum.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And that cocktail has got us on a lot of menus, opened up a lot of doors. It's won 37 out of 45 blind taste tests over vodka Bloody Mary. There's a local account called Benny's on the Beach in Lake Worth, Florida. It actually outsells their regular Bloody Marys. So when we say we think outside the bottle, it'd be like making a vodka and Coke to have it be better than a rum and Coke. It just doesn't happen. So the fact that we're making a Bloody Mary with rum that's winning blind taste tests over what it's supposed to be is huge. And so, with these creative things, another thing we just did, we've had our first account that brought it in, which is the Sneaky Tiki in downtown Stuart, Florida. We're actually putting our Code Rum cocktails on tap.
Oh, wow, neat.
In my events company, I produced an event called Rumageddon. And I had Marshall Tucker Band, Molly Hatchet headline, and I went to bed one night thinking, we got all these great flavored rums and stuff, and I was thinking about the Long Island iced tea. If you're not familiar with it, there's a lot of different booze in it.
Right.
And I wanted to create a cocktail that uses all 5 of our flavored rums, and I came up with this Rumageddon rum punch, and it's amazing. And so now we supply accounts with the keg and the tap, and they pre-mix the rum punch in the keg, just like a beer keg. And basically, instead of, pouring 5 different rums and the mixers and so on and so forth for like rum buckets, they basically just put underneath the tap handle, pull the tap, 30 seconds. They got a perfectly mixed cocktail every time.
Nice.
And we've got 2 other accounts getting ready to bring it in. One is Kona Beach Cafe in Stuart, Florida as well, and Shipwreck Bar and Grill in Jupiter. And I don't know if any other brands that are doing that, but they will be doing it once they, just like they'll start making key lime rums now.
Right.
But it's something unique and different, and something that we can do that nobody else is doing, which, kind of makes you stand out a little bit, and just being cutting edge and creating new ideas and fresh stuff that's different, that nobody's done before. I like the Bloody Pirate and the Code Rum cocktails on tap and such. And so, it's, you got to outsmart the big buck guys,
Yeah, that's really great. And I mean, yeah, there's got to be lots of imitation, just like in the fashion industry or anything else, where it's sort of easily imitated, even though they're doing it with their own liquors and things like that. How much do you guys? Do you have a process for innovating new things like that, or is it just kind of as it occurs to you, where you go, hey, that might be a cool idea, or do you have kind of an entrenched brainstorming process in the company?
Yeah, I want to get like a brainstorming team, so to speak, a focus group. I haven't done it yet. It's basically, I can drive from here to Panama Beach, 8 hours from here, and I never turn on the radio. And I love music. I'm a musician, and I just think, and I write ideas down, and just it's constant. It's just a constant thinking process, and what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? What can we do different? What can we do better?
Right.
And it's just it's a 7-day-a-week job, and it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot more work than it is fun, but everybody thinks it's just a big party, which I'm like, great, my job's done. That's what and it's a lot of fun. The greatest thing about starting this rum brand is the people I've met along the way, and the friendships that I've created, and through they start out fans, and you meet them, and the next thing you know, you consider them family, because of the support they give you and the product, and it's genuinely good people. So, one thing I'm going to take from this here when we get to wherever we're at in this journey is the friendships that's been forged through this brand, and the family of Code Rum crew, the Code Rum crew. So, yeah, we're just basically always trying to come up with new stuff. And like I'm working on the Code Rum Pirate Party Tour 2017, where we're going to go to about 8 different accounts throughout Florida. And basically it's going to be an all-day pirate-themed party. You come dressed in your pirate garb, your eye patches, and we'll do giveaways and stuff, and it's basically that does a couple things. It gets our brand out there. It creates new fans. It builds a relationship with the accounts that we have, because we're bringing people to their bar. It's moving product, and it's just something different. Like, what can we do different? What we can do different that's fun, moves product, builds our relationship with our fan base and our accounts. And so I'm constantly trying to come up with cool, fresh ideas that are always surrounded by fun and a great product.
That's great. Now, I was going to ask you how you got into the event planning thing, but you said you're a musician, so that totally makes sense to me. I am too. What's your background as a musician?
Guitar, mostly drums.
Nice.
And just kind of picked it up and started playing. Actually, my musical career started way back in the day with air guitar. I'm so good at air guitar. I need to start doing something for real. And
yeah, I should put some wood under these fingers. Yeah,
exactly. And it's funny. When I played the drums, the first time I really played, and a friend of mine's like, "How long have you been playing for?" I said, "This is my first time." He's like, "This was back in, way back in the day." And I literally say, when I heard a song in my head, of course, it takes coordination, but I basically hear a song in my head a split second before I duplicate it.
Right.
Like, that's crazy. I'm like, that's how I do it.
Yep. That sounds about right. Yep.
But the events and stuff, like I said, I started doing, the monthly meetups with my Pirate Head social group, and planning, pirate themed parties and luau parties. And I think I did my first big event was a pirate festival in Lake Park, I think in 2013. And we made that an annual event. And then we did a seafood festival. We had the country duo Montgomery Gentry headline. Nice. And so the events got bigger, and, working with Captain Hiram's Resort in Sebastian, doing events there. We, did something with the Dirty Heads there. And it's just all just kind of grew. And I've kind of backed off the events a little bit. The last one we did was Drumageddon event with Marshall Tucker Band and Molly Hatch. We had 18 bands on 2 stages over 2 days. And
that'll keep you busy.
Yeah, and it's a lot of work, but the advantage to that is that it's a venue to promote my product.
Sure.
We can sponsor these big events, or I can take that same sponsorship hours and produce my own event, and where we own it, and we sell a lot of we're the only rum at the event. So having being able to produce these events really helps out in the the promotion of our product and the sale of it and stuff, and it just goes hand in. Anything I do outside of the rum always has a tie into the rum. It always has to benefit the brand.
Sure. Which
events do that and stuff, and supporting charity stuff, and so
nice.
It just all goes hand in hand.
Good. So where's a good place for people to find you online outside of your main website, thecoderum.com?
Obviously, we have an Instagram page, Code Rum.
Cool.
Our Facebook page, on our website at thecoderum.com. We've got a store locator where you just put in your zip code, and it takes you to the nearest liquor store, bar, restaurant, resort that carries our product. We've got a cool recipe page with a lot of exciting recipes. The rums make great mojitos. The Hyatt in Key West actually named their pool bar the Blue Mojito, based on our Blue Mojito cocktail made with our key lime rum, and it's their featured drink. And so yeah, we're just at the tip of the iceberg right now, and we're gonna tip of the iceberg. We're gonna hit it, crush it, and then use that ice from the iceberg to make Code Rum cocktails.
I like it. That is a good place to end it. I'll make sure all that stuff is linked up on the show notes for the interview. And this has been really fun.
Awesome, man.
Is there anything I missed that you want people to know?
We didn't talk much about my good looks and boyish charm, but we can do that in the next interview.
There'll be a sequel.
There you go.
All right, Johnny. This has been super fun, man. Thank you much.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
And there it is, friends. That is my interview with Johnny Ringo of Code Rum. I hope you enjoyed that. I know I learned a whole bunch of stuff there because, like I said, not a rum guy. And we'll have more rum talk coming up in a couple of weeks when we talk to Mike Kelly from Old New Orleans Rum, and that's a good one too. But we got lots of cool episodes coming up and more scheduled to be recorded. Under the Crossbones is sponsored today by Pirate Radio of the Treasure Coast, WKKC-DB, playing the best music in pirate radio talk. Listen to this show on both stations. Just go to pirateradiothetreasurecoast.com or pirateradiotc.com. And don't forget to download the apps. That's the Pirate Radio Treasure Coast app, which is the music station, and Pirate Radio Talk, which is the talk station. So go check that out. We are doing great over there. Thanks for listening. If you're listening from Pirate Radio, join the club. I am too. No, I'm not. I don't listen to the show. I've heard it the first time. I'm still a little jet lagged. Can you tell? Like I haven't even spoken above a high whisper for the last week and a half. Because I haven't been performing, I haven't been teaching, I haven't been doing any sort of public speaking, and I was also trying to not be a boorish American, and so I was speaking very quietly throughout the entire trip. I never spoke pretty much above this, even in a loud pub when I was talking with my girlfriend over a meat pie of some sort. Oh man, the food was good. We're missing the food. We're missing the tube. We miss taking the tube, and we miss being able to walk to dinner. We don't get to do that where we are because we live in a suburb where it takes half an hour to get anywhere on foot. Have you been to a pirate festival recently, or a pirate thing, or a gathering of some sort? I would like to hear a report about it. I would like to hear from you. I'd like to hear your experience about it, and if it's cool, I'll play it on the show. Here's how you do that. Just leave me a voicemail at this number, 408-599-2733. Again, that's 408-599-2733. 24 hours a day, operators are standing by. It's a Google Voice number, so you can call me at that number any time of day. Leave me and I won't answer is the thing, right? You won't wake me up because it's a voicemail number. So leave a voicemail with your trip report about a cool festival you went to or a cool piratey project you're working on or any of that kind of stuff. And if it's neat, I'll play it on the show. Cool? Cool. Do me one other favor. I have a survey that I need you to take that will tell me a little bit more about who you are as a listener, which will help me guide the show over the next year or so and find out what we need to be doing with it and where we should be taking it for live pods and things like that. So it's a quick little 7-question survey, nothing difficult, take you 30 seconds to do. Go to underthecrossbones.com/survey. That's underthecrossbones.com/survey. And do me that quick little favor there so that I can get to know you, my listener, even a little bit better, which would be fantastic. All right, that's our show for today. Thank you once again for tuning in. Thank you for telling your friends. Thank you for leaving the iTunes reviews. Those are always nice. If you want to hear more from Johnny Ringo and Code Rum, hear more, you probably want to drink more. If you want to drink more Code Rum or find out more about the company, go to thecoderum.com. thecoderum.com. Remember, it's not just Code Rum. That's a Scandinavian tech company. Weird. All right. So I will see you next week. And that's it. Bye.